Live. Well, I am live to briefly talk about the post I made that's deals with Madame Blavatsky. Because I like to follow up on the post, especially with Facebook Live. Might as well take advantage of it and discuss it through Facebook Live, because sometimes people take posts a little out there in left field, and then the post will get off track because you're sitting here trying to explain what you meant by a post, and then the post will become the explanation of what you meant by it than the actual content of the post itself. And I see that happen a lot on Facebook, different groups that I've seen. I've just seen that happen a lot. And so Facebook Live is definitely a tool to use to kind of straighten that stuff out. So okay, somebody just said stupid ass post. Nadir Salam. Yeah, see, little comments like that. All right, so we're gonna talk about all these comments, So like, I like to get straight to it. All right, deal straight with the comments. And if anybody, I can read the comments as you make the comments. So if anybody has something to say to what I'm saying, just type it into the comments and I'll address it. But I'm going to start with the post itself, and then I'm going to go and deal with some of the comments in the post. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. And but first, let me see if anybody can hear me. Let me know you can hear me at least, because I don't want to sit here and do all this talking and then nobody can even hear me. End up talking to myself. So, let me know if you can hear me. Let me get my comments up. So, yeah, I haven't seen anybody that tells me. Yeah, if you can hear me, just type in the comments that you can hear me. If I'm being heard. Okay, up. Kaba Nepti Unket is in the building. Hotep, I want to say peace to everybody again. All right, so let me just dive straight into this because it's not going to be a long thing, So the reason I'm going live again is because I did a post called, let me be specific. Where's the post? It's called, I titled it. Well, actually, let me just share my screen. I'm gonna share my screen. We're just gonna walk through it. Let's do it that way. All right, so it should be real big. Everybody should be able to see it. Should be able to see it on the screen, hopefully. I didn't see it switch yet. All right, there we go. All right, it's big as day. All right, it says 23 hours ago, Wujau Irimaat, which is me. I made this post with a picture of Madame Blavatsky, and I said, Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, the master teacher of the conscious community. Now, I always put conscious community in quotation marks, and I do that for a reason. But I said, people think Russia interfered with the 2016 U.S. presidential elections, but guess what? They've been the best friend of the conscious community for decades. Most of what people in the conscious community practice or gravitate towards is connected to this woman and theosophy or the Theosophical Society. Now I'm going to read that again. I said most of what people in the conscious community practice or gravitate towards is connected to this woman and the Theosophy or the Theosophical Society, from which she's a co-founder of. All right. Nowhere in my post did I say that this woman is the creator or originator of anything whatsoever. But for some reason, people are reading into this post as though I did say that. So again, I said most of what people in the conscious community practice or gravitate towards is connected to this woman. Is connected to this woman and Theosophy and Theosophical Society. All right, she's a co-founder of Theosophical Society. I believe it was in 1875. All right. Now, anybody who is remotely familiar with this woman, Madame Blavatsky, and remotely familiar with Theosophy as a philosophy, or the Theosophical Society as an organization that promotes that philosophy, you will understand why I made this post, and it will be obvious to you. And inside the post, inside the comments, I mean, you can see the difference in the comments, the different comments that are being made in the post between people who are familiar and have read her work versus people who are who don't know who she is or just heard her name being mentioned. You can see a distinct contrast between the types of comments between those two types of people. And so what we can clearly see is that those who are familiar with her and familiar with her work and everything, they have no problem with my post. It's only those who don't really know her or know her at all, or, you know, have not read her work, or in, you know, whatever the case is, that's the only opposition that my post has been receiving. So this is why I'm going live, just to kind of clarify, because, you know, people are taking it out in left field. All right, so I'm going to scroll down and I'm gonna scroll down and just read some of the comments just to clarify. You know, like I said, I only want to be on here briefly, so I'm gonna scroll down. So anyway, that's a picture of her, actual picture of her. She's a native Russian, but she became a United States citizen, you know, and all that good stuff. All right, so let me look first, get to some of the comments that I want to deal with. All right, so first of all, let's see. Let me scroll. All right. Well, first, all right, while I'm scrolling, let me just make it real clear again. I'm not saying Madame Blavatsky is because I'm gonna summarize some of these comments, because some people are making the same kinds of comments. So like I said, I don't want to read through every single comment on the post. So this is what I'm seeing. Inside the comments, people are reading things into the post that's not there. All right. So the assumption is being made that I'm somehow saying that Madame Blavatsky is the originator of, you know, the different doctrines that people are following, you know, in the conscious community. And that's not what I said at all. As you can clearly see, I never said that in the topic post, and I never said that in any of the comments. All right. So what I am saying is this, is that, as you can see here, I say, most of what people in the conscious community practice or gravitate towards is connected to this woman and Theosophy or Theosophical Society. And let me keep going. And then I give some examples of her work. As you can see there, she wrote the Isis Unveiled, The Secret Doctrine, The Key to Theosophy, The Voice of the Silence, The Mahatma Letters, and Exploring the Great Beyond. She's either the co-author or author of those works. And those are just some examples. All right. And if you look up the Theosophical Society or Theosophy in general, or Madame Blavatsky, you'll see that she and they, because her contemporaries, they had a tremendous impact and influence on Western philosophy and philosophical thought, especially dealing with quote unquote spiritual matters, or things, you know, related to spiritual matters, you know, combining Hermeticism, combining Platonism, as well as ancient Egyptian, quote unquote, mysticism and things from over in India dealing with Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, and things like that. A lot of that stuff was combined and you know, influenced the theosophical doctrines that have been promoted from that point forward. And a lot of people in the conscious community are impacted by that and don't even know it. Some people know it and know of her, some people don't. And so I posted this post to bring the attention to this fact. All right. Now, specifically, people that are dealing with astral projection, the Akasha records, third eye, the way that people are dealing with it and the way that they're passing it on and embracing it and practicing it can be traced back to this woman in particular, or her contemporaries, or the organizations that she's related to. All right. And you can do this easily, just simply, and I actually provided, so let me scroll down. Let me see, where can I find the post? Oh, and let me clarify another thing. Like I said, I'm not going to read every post, so I'm just kind of going to consolidate them and summarize some of the posts that I want to address. You know, some people have asked, well, who did she learn from, or where did she get her information from? Because when people ask that question, what's being implied is that that where she got her information from, let's just say she got all her information from Africa. Then what's going to come after that is that, okay, well, if she got all her information from Africa and people in the conscious community are influenced by her or practicing what she teaches, then it must be okay because she got it from us anyway. See, that's the logic and line of reasoning that question is implying. And that's a dangerous way to look at it, because the whole point is that if she is indeed getting information from Africa, let's just say, because it's not, you know, that's not the case, but let's just say it is the case, she's getting all her information from Africa or from us per se, then the thing is that if that's the case, then why do we need her or to be influenced by her when we can go directly to Africa like she did? And so that's one of the points that I'm making, is that once we understand what influence she has on the conscious community or theosophy in general, or the Theosophical Society in general, those influences on the conscious community, once we can identify those influences, then we can separate those influences and deal directly with the source. So let's just say the Theosophical Society got their information from Africa or indigenous cultures. Fine. But if that's the case, then why can't we go straight to those indigenous cultures like they did? So that's one of the points that I'm making. And it's safer for us to do that, because if we don't do that, then we don't know what those people are changing, what their agendas are, what their biases are. And I can say for a fact that Madame Blavatsky and her colleagues at that particular time, they were very racist. They looked at Africans as the bottom of the barrel, not even worth anything. You know, you can actually look up Madame Blavatsky. You'll see her famous quotes out of her book. This is you know, she wrote, you know, about the evolution of man and things like that as well. And in her book, I think her specific book, The Secret Doctrine, you can find quotes where she's just dogging out Africans, or quote unquote black people, and so on and so forth. So the point is that if we don't know the influence that she, her colleagues, and the organizations that's affiliated with them have on the conscious community, then that can be very dangerous. So hopefully people will get that point. And so by understanding what she wrote and how it has impacted the conscious community, now we can separate it and deal directly with the source. We can go directly to the African cultures and use them as resources, as opposed to unknowingly being influenced by people like Madame Blavatsky. That's the what I'm pushing with this post. But people are being offended by the post because I guess they consider themselves in the quote unquote conscious community. And because I'm saying she's the master teacher, and they're like, wait a minute, she's not my master teacher. I don't even know her. And that's a poor approach to a poor way of looking at what I'm saying, because you can be influenced by something and not know it. Because people that say that act as though they can't be influenced by something unless they know of it. We're influenced by things every day and don't know it. You know, subconsciously or consciously. You know, even the mundane commercials that we see on TV, cable, or here on the radio stations, advertisements, business, marketing, all that stuff, all those things are trying to grab our attention and influence us. And sometimes it happens behind our back or on a subconscious level, and we don't even know it. So likewise, there's a lot of teachings that are out there. There are a lot of doctrines that are out there that are influencing us. And I'm saying the conscious community in quotes, that are influencing the conscious community, whether we are aware of it or not. And many people are not aware of it. And I'm not saying that it's any particular people's fault for that, but we can do better. And how we fix that is by studying, by putting in the work. And I'm just bringing this to people's attention that one such person and group of people is Madame Blavatsky and the doctrine of Theosophy and the Theosophical Society. There's other groups. There's the Rosicrucians. There's the Order of the Golden Dawn. There's some other groups. You have Aleister Crowley. Who else? You got other people who are heavily influenced. The whole New Age movement that we are familiar with today stands on a lot of these people that I'm mentioning, their doctrines. You know, claiming to be a medium for spiritual entities or extraterrestrials. That's found right there in the Theosophy. You know, a lot of the different New Age concepts and themes that we see floating around in the conscious community are coming directly out of these groups. All right, so we have to keep that in mind. Irregardless, if you think that these things were practiced in Africa, it's just that you're not going to Africa directly to learn directly from the Africans. So either way you look at it, the point is that we all have to do better. We have to go to the source, and we have to stop being lazy. And so I'm just alerting people to this particular woman and everything she's affiliated with. But let me go down. And like I said, I'm not going to read all of the quotes. It's just a few of them, and I'm summarizing them as I go. Scroll down, but I don't even see if anybody is commenting. If I'm missing your comments, so sorry about that. I'm just now looking at them. But yeah. So look, listen. So if anybody who's watching me now, I think it's like 15 people watching. Type in the comments right now if you understand my point now. If you understand my point, because see, this is the thing. People think that I'm saying that Madame Blavatsky is as if she's standing at a chalkboard in a classroom, and then everybody in the conscious community is in her class, and they are directly being taught by her. You know, this lady is dead. This lady is no longer living. She died in the late 1800s. She's not in anybody's classroom. None of us have seen her directly alive. Anybody who's alive today is not, laid eyes on her. So I'm not making that claim. When I say that she's the master teacher of the conscious community, I'm using it as an idiom. I don't mean it literally for 100% of all people in the so-called conscious community. And so that's some of the comments that I'm getting. And I shouldn't even have to explain that. You know, we should be, mature enough to kind of, understand, at least understand what is meant by, things being said. So, and the point is that she and her colleagues and the organizations that they're affiliated with have a huge influence on the conscious community, whether people know it or not. All right. So hold up. You said, hold up. Let me scroll. I'm trying to catch up on these on the comments. Okay, good. Everybody understands. All right. All right, that's good. Hold up. Don't shoot this down. People that knowledge we were taught to be evil is ours. That's supposed to be secret. So okay, so that's my point. All right, so when I see comments like this is a stupid post and things like that, you know, that really has no value. People who comment like that, they have no interest in adding to the discussion. See, me particularly, when I do posts like these or any post that I have and people engage it, see, I want to engage discussion. I want to promote communication. I want to promote a conversation about a topic. You know, it's not about that microwave, feel good, surface stuff, and then, you know, give your you know, uninformed opinion and then rolling out. Like, you know, I can do without that, you know. So unless you're going to engage in the conversation, then, you know, it's no need to post. And I don't, you know, some people tend to hijack people's posts and they'll change the whole topic, you know. I see people do that, and, you know, so we got to do better with that as well. But, you know, I see it being done, but on my particular post, I try to control that and eliminate that, because, you know, we don't have to do that, because that's how things go back and forth, and there's no progress being made in a discussion. So I'm bringing this up to bring it to people's attention, you know, and I'm challenging people to look her up. If you're not familiar, if you've never heard of Blavatsky, look her up. If you have heard of her but just unfamiliar with her works, then hey, on your spare time, just check it out. Check it out. Check out. I gave a list of some of her work. Matter of fact, if you Google her, you can go to Wikipedia and look up Blavatsky, and Wikipedia will tell you some of her publications and her life story. You know, her early years and her influence and so on and so forth, and the organization she started. She co-founded the Theosophical Society, and a couple of other things, and then that organization itself and its doctrines have influenced the birth of other organizations that we know of today. You know, so you got to keep that in mind. All right, and so like I said, a couple of things that she's influenced is you know, pretty much anything in the New Age group movement. So let me give you a particular example that I use and I typed out. All right, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are familiar with Senzar Seti. All right, Senzar Seti is loved by the conscious community. Everybody would consider him in the conscious community, so on and so forth. RBG movement, and all of that, all of the above. Right, he's the general Senzar Seti. All right, so one of his early debates at the House of Consciousness involved a brother named Alim Bey, and Senzar Seti debated Alim Bey on issues dealing with Moorish science. All right, and one of the points that Senzar Seti made was that the Moorish science and their books, their doctrine, Circle 7 Quran, and a lot of things that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali did, one of the things that Senzar Seti pointed out is that they were heavily influenced by Madame Blavatsky. All right, as far as the literature or whatever else. And during that debate, Senzar Seti dogged the Moorish science temple for following her or for being influenced by her. He pointed it out. Then he dogged them for following her, and he dogged her. He dogged Madame Blavatsky, you know, the whole thing, saying that they following, you know, European, Russian, blah, 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 all that stuff. So Madame Blavatsky was thrown under the bus, and she's somebody to never deal with. Okay, so now that was years ago with that debate. Now let's fast forward to last year when Senzar Seti made the silly claim that the Medu Neter has not been deciphered. Lo and behold, Sarah Seti makes Madame Blavatsky one of his #1 allies by agreeing and quoting her or using something that she teaches and that does originate from her and with her. And that is that the hieroglyphic writing system is a mystery language, and it comes out of a mystery language called Senzar. Now, you can pull up Sarah Seti's presentation where he said it. You could do that on your own, but he said it on there, and it's still up. Go look at it. He didn't even know that he's quoting from her, or that is what she taught and created and promoted. That the Egyptian hieroglyphs is a secret language. It comes out of a secret language, universal language called Senzar. Matter of fact, what you can do right now is go to Wikipedia and type in Senzar, Senzar, Senzar. Look it up. It's going to tell you that it comes out of Madame Blavatsky is the one who introduced that to her following and the whole nine. And so this is what Sarah Seti is saying. So this is a perfect example of someone utilizing information that's been heavily influenced by this particular lady, Madame Blavatsky, her organizations or her colleagues, and not even knowing it. And that's a direct contradiction, because years ago, Seti was like, nah, Madame Blavatsky, that's a European, Russian, he dogged her out, made Brother Alim Bey and the Moorish Science Temple look silly for dealing with her and Saint Germain and all her other colleagues and things like that. But yet now he's utilizing her information. Now, had Sarah Seti known that, I doubt if he would even used it. But he doesn't know, because he's not a real scholar. He doesn't put rigor into his research and things like that. He doesn't go under the hood to really actually study any particular thing. He's good at what he does, but scholarship is not particularly his cup of tea. But nevertheless, people like him. He's very influential, and this is what he's telling people. So he's telling people things that came out of and came from Madame Blavatsky. So that's a specific example that I gave inside of this post. All right. And obviously to the people who were opposing my post, I guess that wasn't good enough. So then I expanded that and said that anybody that follows the astral projection, look that up. The third eye stuff, look that up. You're going to see, I guarantee you, when you look up the third eye doctrine and practices, look up the astral projection, the outer body, astral body, look that up. And I guarantee you, you're going to see Madame Blavatsky's name mentioned, or the Theosophical Society mentioned, or Theosophy as a philosophical doctrine mentioned. Guarantee it. Matter of fact, let me do that. I'll do that right now, real quick. All right. Because I might as well. So let me pull it up. So because I was gonna go down the comments, but there's no need, because I'm basically summarizing, because I didn't realize it was that many comments, and that would just take too long, and I don't want to bore you all like that. Actually, it's Memorial Day. I know people, have their family to deal with and stuff like that. So, I appreciate you all checking out what I have to say. Anyway, so let me wait a minute. I think this is blowing up a little too big here. So let me bring it back out. Okay. So basically, hopefully you all can see that on the screen. All right, so let's go. So let's see. First of all, let me pull up Senzar, because that's what I asked you all to do. So I might as well do it. So when you look up Senzar language, let me see if it's big enough. Okay, yeah, you all can't see everything on the screen. Let me see if I can move this to where you can see it. All right. So you should be able to see it on the screen. I guess enough. Or let me squeeze it together. Okay, that should be good enough. It may be hard for you all to read on the screen. Okay, but anyway, let me go on. All right, so listen. It says Senzar is a supposed original language of the stanzas of the Xian, and I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly. It says it is referenced in multiple locations in the works of who? Helena Blavatsky. All right, remember this. This language is called Senzar, and I want y'all to go back and watch Sarasuddin Sethi's presentation on the whole Medu Neter thing from December of last year. Y'all remember that they backed out of the debate. We didn't have the debate. It really was never a debate. It was going to be a intervention moment, a teaching moment on our part to allow people to really learn and be edified about the language and everything like that. It would have been a beautiful thing, but the brothers backed out, and then they had their private presentation. During Sethi's private presentation, he presented this information, so go look at it. All right, and you'll see that he's talking about Senzar. It says, in her Secret Doctrine, which is a book, the title of her book, Blavatsky calls Senzar a tongue absent from the nomenclature of languages and dialects with which philology is acquainted. And then it gives the exact page and quote. All right. Now, even in her other book called Isis Unveiled, Blavatsky identifies Senzar as being what? Ancient Sanskrit. So, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I want you to look this up. Senzar language, look it up. And it says part of a series on theosophy. If you look over here on the right hand side of the Wikipedia article. All right. Now, don't stop at Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a decent starting point for people's research, but I always tell people to never end with Wikipedia. Go down to the references, look at the superscripted numbers, go down to the references that these quotations are coming from. Get those books, read those books. All right. Then it's no excuse of, Wikipedia is not good and this and that. That's just not true anymore, because Encyclopedia Britannica and Wikipedia are pretty much not too far off from each other. People don't like Wikipedia because of the user's ability to make change. But even that is a whole process. Nobody can just sit here like right now. I can't sit here and change this article. There's a whole checks and balance system that they use and whatnot. But regardless of all of that stuff, you can always go down to the bottom of the page. The beautiful thing about Wikipedia is the bottom of the pages. Go to the references. Always go to the references. All right. Just remember that. But anyway, so that sends our language. So let's go to the next thing. What was the next thing I said to look up? So remember, she's mentioned here. So let's look up astral body. Let's look it up. All right. You see astral body, right? Astral body is the subtle body posited by many philosophers, intermediate between the intelligent soul and the mental body, composed of a subtle material. All right. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but my point is that you're going to find caught up in the astral body stuff. What do you see on the right hand side? It says theosophy, Rosicrucians, Thelema, Hermeticism, Jainism, Sufism, Hinduism, Kabbalah, so on and so forth. And let's go down. Let's see whose names are mentioned. Modern era. You see this? It says modern era right here. It says Levi's. I'm gonna skip down because I'm showing you this. You could read it on your own. I'm not gonna read everything because I don't want to take too much time. It says Levi's idea of the astral was to have much influence in the English-speaking world through the teachings of who? The Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn is another organization, all right? But it was also taken up by who? Helena Blavatsky, and discussed in the key work of Theosophy, called the Secret Doctrine. Levi seems to have been regarded by later theosophists as the immediate source from which the term was adopted into their sevenfold schema of planes and bodies, though there was a slight confusion as to the term's proper use. So again, Blavatsky and her contemporaries of her time, including Levi, including the Order of the Golden Dawn and all these other people, this is where this is coming out of. So whenever you hear people today in the conscious community talking about astral projection, the astral body, and all this and that, they're being influenced by this teaching. Now, people will say and have said that, no, brother, the ancient Egyptians practiced this. Well, this is the thing that I challenge people to do. And this is one of the purpose of my post, is go directly to the Egyptians then. Show me in a primary source document an Egyptian any of the Egyptian papyri, any of the Egyptian coffin inscriptions, any of the Egyptian temple inscriptions, or any Egyptian literary writing where these things are discussed. And I'm not saying that it's not there, but I'm saying go to that and dig from that. We don't have to have the middleman, because you don't know what these people are putting their own spin on, or remixing and diluting or changing and for their own reasons and own agendas. You won't know that until you deal with the original. So my point is to push people to do rigorous research, do rigorous investigation, learn the languages of these African cultures so that you can dig into their oral traditions or their literary traditions. Either way. All right. So that's what I'm pushing. All right. Because a sister said that, you know, my post is causing division. Yes, my post is supposed to cause division. It's supposed to divide people away from that pseudo nonsense to get to the real sciences. All right. So yes, my intention is to quarantine the pseudoscience, quarantine those people who are too lazy to do research, quarantine those people who are dealing with silly new age doctrines without ever checking it out. Yes, I do want to divide that and get that away from people who want to deal with the real deal, deal with the real sciences, and want to go back home mentally or as far as investigatively back to Egypt as a direct primary source, or Africa in general as a primary source. We don't need the middleman. Even in business, if you're selling a product and you're buying your product from a middleman, you know the middleman is marking the product up. So you're getting it at a price and you have to mark it up to make a profit. Now, if you can find out where your person is getting their stuff from at a much cheaper rate, you're going to go there. All right. That's how business is conducted. Everybody who has a business will agree with me, and everybody does that. Once you don't need the middleman anymore, you cut the middleman out. So likewise with this information, cut the middleman out. We don't need the middleman. All we have to do is elevate our knowledge in African languages and know where to go for the primary sources and deal directly with it. So that's the point of my another point of my post. All right. So now, what was the other thing I mentioned? So I just wanted to show y'all. You see Blavatsky being mentioned here. So that's all the astral projection, the Akasha records people who say, oh, you know, out of body experiences, astral projection, and we're going to go to the pull information from the Akasha records and everything, and I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be able to give it to you. I'm going to go on YouTube and do this. Peace, 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 family. You know, this stuff, this information came to me or whatever. People do that. All right, so we got to cut that out. Anyway, what was the other thing? Third eye. Let's pull up the third eye. And let me see. Okay, so here we go. Third eye. It says the third eye. I'm just going to read the first sentence. The third eye is a mystical and esoteric concept referring to a speculative, invisible eye which provides perception beyond ordinary sight. All right, so this is the page I'm on. I want you to look it up yourself. All right. Now let's see if Blavatsky or theosophy or anything like that has anything to do with this. All right, so let's go down to the pineal gland theory. the second word in this sentence says what? In what theosophy? In what theosophy? In theosophy, it is related to the pineal gland. So who relates the third eye to the pineal gland? The theosophists. This goes back to Blavatsky. Look, it says adherents of theosophists who? HP. HP stands for Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. Adherents of Blavatsky have suggested that the third eye is in fact the partially dormant pineal gland. So everybody that is talking about the third eye being the pineal gland and so on and so forth is tied into theosophy and this woman. All right. You cannot deny that. And so I'm not bringing this out to negatively impact the conscious community. I'm bringing this to the conscious community attention. Now, I'm not the only one, so I'm not even going to sit here and pretend that I'm bringing some brand new news to people as if there's a lot of other people who don't know what I'm saying. So I don't even want to pretend to make that to imply that to anybody, because people are going to watch this video and be like, man, would y'all think he dropping some science and some new knowledge that nobody's talking about? No, I'm just one of many people that have said this before I'm saying it and whatnot. Now I've said this for years, but still I'm included in many people that are aware of this. All right. So let's just make sure I make that clear. But my point is that a lot of people in the conscious community, whether they know it or not, and most of them don't know it, they are influenced by specifically this woman and things that she's been associated with, and her colleagues and what they've been associated with, and their siblings, their not siblings, but their child or daughter institutions and organizations. All right. You can trace this stuff out. And on your spare time, I encourage people to do so. What I'm doing is real quick. I'm just showing you the quick YouTube. I'm sorry, the Wikipedia articles. You can start there. Like I said, whenever you go to Wikipedia, I'm gonna say this again. Always look at the notes and the references. Do not ever stop at Wikipedia. Don't ever stop at Wikipedia. All right. Wikipedia is good. Is a good starting point to get your research on and to point you to the resources. All right. And I want to make that clear because, you know, people try to dog Wikipedia out or use Wikipedia against people. And that's just silly, because if that's the case, we could use Encyclopedia Britannica against anybody who uses that. And sooner or later, we're going to be using the library against people like, oh, man, you going to the library. Oh, man, you a fool. You know, so that's silly. People do that who don't like researching. All right. So, all right. So let me take a moment and look at these comments, because I've been avoiding the comments. All right. So Sister Ebony. Yeah, Sister Ebony, I was speaking to you in the comment section, and I hope you understand now that hope you understand what I was saying and what I mean by that. So hold up. So y'all give me a moment. I'm trying to scroll up, make sure that I don't miss out anybody. Let's see. But anyway, I'm gonna say peace to everybody who's watching, you know, because I started off with only two people watching, and now it's 17. So peace to everybody, and I hope you all enjoying your day. You know what I'm saying? Hope you spending family time with your family, loved ones, you know, all that good stuff. If you're cooking out, you know, make sure you having a good time, eat good, don't eat too much, all that good stuff. And y'all saw what I posted on my Facebook page. Somebody made a grill out of a toilet. A grill, and the back of the toilet is an ice chest for the drinks. That was funny. So you can check that out and get a laugh. But let me see. Okay, all right, Hotep brother, Uncle Minu Sabinu. You said, okay, so your position is that Moors are largely responsible for spreading this in the community. No, I wouldn't say that, because Theosophy and the Theosophical Society is a big influence on Western doctrines, just period, just from itself. Because remember, if you study Theosophy and the Society and Blavatsky, you'll know that she was born in Russia. She claims to have traveled to India, Tibet, and even, I believe, in Egypt and stuff like that. And she claims to have been taught by these, what she calls the spiritual masters. And then she goes back and compiles a philosophy and a doctrine. And she teams up with some other people or another particular man and creates a Theosophical Society and created an organization out of which they're going to push this doctrine. And then she becomes a citizen of the United States and opens up shop here in the United States and also in London. I believe in London. She actually has a lodge, the Blavatsky Lodge or something to that effect in London. And during this time, she was highly respected out of the people, you know, during that time. Remember, this is the late 1800s. So we're talking from 1875 up to the time she died, 1895 or whatever. So her contemporaries, such as Gerald Massey, what's the other thing? Aleister Crowley, or you know, these other people. Well, Gerald Massey kind of challenged her a lot. If you read his works and in his journals and things, you'll see that they kind of go back and forth. And I believe a brother posted on this post some links that you can check out his disagreement with some of her claims and stuff like that. But anyway, to answer your question, no, I'm not saying the Moors are largely responsible, but they have been influenced. Noble Drew Ali, because look at it. Noble Drew Ali claims, or Moors, some Moors, not all, some Moors claim that Noble Drew Ali's Circle 7 Quran was compiled by Noble Drew Ali, recalling things from memory and dictating it to a secretary to create the book, the Circle 7 Quran. And in the book, they talk about Jesus. And they talk about Jesus traveling to India, and a lot of the information out of there, if you compare it to the Theosophical doctrine, and you compare it to the same men that are responsible for the Rosicrucian order and their writings, you got Levi, you have some other books. The what is it? The main book is I forgot the name of the book, just right off the tip of my tongue, but it deals with Jesus Christ. I forgot. It'll come to me, but they were influenced. A lot of people were influenced by that, and people are not going to like this. But listen, we got to start being honest so that we can evaluate where we are, so we know what to change and what to do. Because listen, it's 2017. We got to stop playing these games. We got to stop repeating the same old nonsense, same mistakes and everything like that. People going to argue, debate, and stuff like that. Debating used to become a business. It's like, man, that's fine, but hey, that's entertainment, but let's get busy. All right. So we really got to evaluate and be honest with ourselves and put in the work. So no. Now Ebony says, this lady says it's not. Okay. I'm not clear on what you mean by that. Let me see. Let me scroll up, see if I missed something that you said. And nope, don't look like I missed anything. All right, so yeah, Ebony, I'm just scrolling down, so I don't see what you mean by that. And let's see, library where the lies are buried. Yeah, people say that. Now hold up, let me pause. Geb T'Challa, that's a good point. You know, there are people that are walking around on the streets that will say the word library means a place where lies are buried. Now, let me ask y'all, what does that do for us if we are pushing to the children that a library is a place where lies are buried? What is that going to do? It's going to discourage our upcoming generations from going to the libraries or researching, because the whole implication is research. Man, that's crazy. Anybody who push, number one, the word library does not mean that. And if anybody twisted to mean that, they are very detrimental to our progress as a people. All right. So let's see. Hotep brother, alias name is Atun. Oh, okay. Said peace. Oh, the stream stopped. Hold on, let me skip down. Somebody said the stream stopped. Oh yeah, Aquarian Gospels. Yeah, that's it. The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. There you go, Jehudi Ma. Appreciate that. Yep. Hold on, I gotta make sure I'm still. Oh, okay, you still hear me. All right. I gotta make sure, man. I'll be sitting here talking to myself, you know, sitting here talking to myself. But anyway, yeah, so y'all can see me and whatnot. So hopefully that cleared up my my post. You know, like I said, I don't want to be on here too long, and I appreciate anybody who's tuned in to my post, and I want to say peace to everybody, and you know, we can keep on talking, but you know, y'all know my nickname is MC Iron Lung, so you know, I'll make y'all miss that Memorial Day dinner. Y'all keep hanging out with me. But anyway, so let me just review real quick, just to wrap up. I made the post, and I made the post that Madame Blavatsky is the master teacher of the conscious community. Now, I don't mean that Madame Blavatsky is a direct master teacher. Nobody's sitting in her classes and taking notes directly from her, listening to her voice, and so on and so forth. What I mean by that is figuratively that Madame Blavatsky and her colleagues and her organization, Theosophical Society and the Philosophy of Theosophy, and all of the children organizations that come out of that, and that it has a heavy influence on the conscious community. And how do we know that? Is that you can YouTube people who claim to be part of the conscious community. They will utilize information that comes directly out of that resource. They themselves may not know it, but them not knowing, ignorance of it doesn't change the fact of it. You know, a lot of things influence us and we don't know it. So the purpose of my post is to just bring the attention and to have the discussion so that people could start looking at things. All right. Don't just accept things just because they sound good. You know, right now we're doing this no pseudo tour. And one of the things that we cover are claims that are pseudo. We're trying to address the different worthwhile pseudo claims. And one of the claims that I addressed before a few times is the claims that chakras are found in Egypt. The doctrine, the whole thing about chakras is found in Egypt. And then the support or the information that's used to support that claim, I address it that it's not talking about chakras whatsoever. And if anybody wants to see that, you know, you can see the video or come out. You know, if you live in Georgia, come out to one of our events. You know, it's free. We have these free events. We go from library to library, and we addressing pseudo claims. And you know, we have a good time, fun time, bring up these topics for people to talk about. Yeah, Ben, he says I'm on MC Iron Lung on the mic. Ben, but listen, boy, Ben, don't y'all don't sleep on Ben. Black Panther. I'm saying Ben, but brother Black Panther, he did an excellent presentation on African spirituality, basically African spirituality 101. So the brother Ben gave a good, you know, a good foundation about African spirituality in general, you know, and that's real good. We need these 101 type of things so that people can, you know, stand on a certain foundation, and we can build, you know, the conversation and discussions can build from there, you know. But I just wanted to I created this post just to bring it to attention. So I just wanted to come live real quick and clarify, because you know the post is sometimes it can go into left field. So the sister Ebony, hopefully that you understand, and the sister Ebony on the post, she said that nobody knows her. That's just not true. A lot of people know about Blavatsky, but a lot of people don't. So you can't say no one knows about her. There are a lot of people who know about her. But regardless of all of that, because I bring her up and bring it to your attention, whether you know her or not, it'll be, you know, in your best interest to look into it. You know, I don't believe what I'm saying. You know, look into it. I real quickly just went to Wikipedia and looked up what was that? Third eye, astral body, astral projection, and what was the other thing? I looked up 3 things. Maybe forget that quick, but you see that she's involved. She's involved, or Theosophy or Theosophical Society is involved, and we could go on. We could go on and look up some more stuff. All right. Oh, the Senzar language, the secret language, the so-called secret language that's behind the Egyptian hieroglyphs and Sanskrit, you know, the Sanskrit script and the ancient cuneiform or Sumerian script, Egyptian script, and the Sanskrit. So notice that she took the Indus Valley, the Tigris-Euphrates Valley, and the Nile Valley, the 3 major valleys of 3 major civilizations on the planet. She said, basically saying that that this universal language is a secret language called Senzar, and that it was channeled. Read it. It was channeled through her. She went through a trance. She drank some tea or did this, whatever, laid back, went to a deep trance and got channeled by these extraterrestrial spiritual masters. And they told her about this secret language and so on and so forth. That's what we're dealing with. That's what the people are dealing with when they deal with Theosophy and everything. And notice that you have a lot of early other organizations that come out of that. Look at the Mormon Church. Look at what they claim in their early beginnings. You know, that they found some extra books. You gotta be careful of people that are claiming to find these extra books, the Emerald Tablets of Tahuti, claiming it to be 25,000 years old. I mean, come on. You know, writing didn't even exist 25,000 years ago. All right. The writing, and I'm saying writing. Now I'm not talking about pictorial drawings and things like that you could find in caves, but writing did not exist 25,000 years ago. Anybody talking about any books that's dating older than 7,000 years ago? Just you know, just brush them off. Really, demand the proof. But anyway, people are claiming, you know, the ancient emerald tablets, these green tablets of Tahuti came, you know, were buried in the sands in this place that we call Atlantis. And Atlantis was destroyed and it broke up into Lemuria and Mu, and now it's underwater and this and that. Come on, we gotta really do better than that, y'all. But we have to be careful of this stuff. You know, demand demonstration, be evidence based. All right. So anyway, let me get up off this thing and give y'all a break. But listen, we may, another thing real quick. Since I'm in the Amara Squad group, Facebook group, the Amara Squad has a YouTube channel, and it's called Amara Squad TV. I posted the link inside the group, so you got to scroll up or down. It's somewhere. I'll probably repost it or bump it up. But subscribe to the channel. All right. The other channel was taken down, you know, because people, you know, it's a big game out here. People hating, people trying to report YouTube channels and flag your channel. And if you get too many strikes on YouTube, they'll take your channel down and stuff like that. People are getting real petty, you know. But we got to be more mature about this. But we're dealing with people who may not be as mature. But anyway, the result is that Brother Unk's channel was taken down, which was the Real Black Atheist. His channel was taken down. The old Amara Squad channel was taken down. So there is another one called Amara Squad TV. Go there and subscribe so that you'll be notified, and click on the bell, the notification bell. You'll see that there. Click on that to make sure you get notified, because we will be doing hangouts, because right now we got to turn up, because pseudoism is like, you know, going crazy this year. I mean, it's always been there, but I mean, it's like pseudoism everywhere you look, you know, really. And by pseudoism, I mean the specific promotion and practice of pseudoscience. And what pseudoscience is information or science or information that's being passed off as if it has gone through the rigorous application of the scientific method. All right. And, you know, I explained this during the pseudo tour. The word pseudo itself simply means fake, but it's an adjective for fake what? Fake knowledge. And the only way you'll know if knowledge is fake or not is if you apply certain methods and tools on it. And so when you pass off knowledge as if it's gone through those methods, but it really hasn't, then you are pushing pseudoscience. And that's what pseudoscience is. And we got to stop that. Now, pseudo doesn't mean wrong. It simply means, or pseudoscience doesn't mean wrong. It simply means you don't know. It's based in ignorance. And we can't pass off ignorance as if it's knowledge. All right. Those are two different things. They're two opposites. You're either ignorant of something, you don't know, or you know. Either you know or you don't know. All right. And when you accept things that you don't know, that's the definition of belief. So people who believe something, it means you're accepting something that you don't know. All right. Either you believe it or you know. Either you know or you don't know. So pseudoscience is based on ignorance. And we got to cut that out. All right. So, and the only way we're going to do that is to apply the rigor of the scientific method. So anybody teaching you something, telling you something, just ask for evidence. Ask people politely, maturely. Ask them if they're trying to tell you something. Just ask them for evidence. Say, look, I want to know what evidence did you look at to come to your conclusions. If you say that the Egyptians practiced yoga in Kemet, in ancient Egypt, then what did you see that led you to that conclusion? Show me what you saw so that I can walk the same path you walk and come to the same conclusion. That's how you deal with it. You know, and that's how we got to be now, because I'm telling you, this pseudo stuff has gotten out of hand, you know, and pseudoism is popular and you know, it's very entertaining, but people are taking it serious, you know. And I don't think we could ever eliminate pseudoism, just like how the beliefs, the Abrahamic belief systems never get rid of the devil. Have y'all noticed that the devil or the serpent, whatever this evil entity, and this goes for a lot of cultures, they never destroy it. It's always put in a pit or put in a lake of fire or quarantined somewhere, you know, cast it out somewhere, but it's never destroyed. Never destroyed. Even in ancient Kemet, a pep is never destroyed. It can't be, because of what they really represent, but that's a whole nother discussion. But I'm just saying, so pseudoism is going to be here. All we can do is quarantine it, like, cause let the people who deal with that, they can do their thing over there. Just don't try to pass it off as real science. Nobody goes to the movie theater and watch a fairy tale movie expecting it to be real. You know it's entertainment. You go, you buy your ticket, you expect to be entertained. You walk out and you either like it or you don't like it, but you know it's entertainment. That's how we should look at these pseudoscience and the people who promote it. All right. So that's how we should look at it. Just entertainment. That's it. And it's all right to be entertained. You just got to call it what it is. Call it what it is. Pseudoscience and all these people talking about pseudo stuff and everything like that. Aliens built the pyramids. Aliens came from these different star systems, came to Earth, went in the water, came out of the water at nighttime to teach the people, and then went in the water during the daytime to hide and stuff like that. Come on. You know, that's entertainment. All right. That's straight up and down entertainment. And if anybody tries to say that the Africans believed that stuff and believed in mermaids and believed in all this other kind of stuff, just remind them to look up figurative language, figurative expression, figurative language, because ancient oral societies use the technology today that we call figurative language in order to, as mnemonic devices, meaning in order to keep it in the memory of the people, they invented a technology of figurative language, and they told stories in a figurative way, not literally, figuratively, so that it could be passed from generation to generation to generation. And now when writing was invented, you see a mixture of figurative language and literal things that are explained. And so it's recorded. And what happened is the figurative way of explaining things and the narratives that they produce are called myths. And so we got to keep myths separate from science itself. And a lot of people try to mix the two. Just because something is a myth doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because something is a myth doesn't mean it's right either. It's a figurative way of explaining something. And you can take science, facts, and create a narrative out of it in a figurative expression, and it become a myth. But don't ever try to say a myth is itself science. That's where a lot of us make a mistake as well. So keep that in mind. But anyway, with that, you know, I'm trying to see if there's any, are there any comments or something, anything that I need to address on what I said, you know, because I don't like to just leave cold turkey. I told folks about them officers, those people gravitate towards. I said facts. And the Masi Warrior Clan, yes. Yes, definitely. Follow, subscribe to the Masi Warrior Clan. Subscribe to the Seshu Ma'ani Medu Neter. All right. Now listen, the Seshu Ma'ani Medu Neter, we are a group of loyal scribes of divine words. That's what the word means. Seshu Ma'ani Medu Neter. Seshu meaning scribes, Ma'a meaning loyal or true, and then Ni Medu Neter is of divine words. All right. We are a group of loyal scribes striving to be true scribes. All right. We're still learning, but we deal with the ancient Egyptian languages and the writing system. So any claims, any pseudo claims or claims, whether they're true or false, dealing with the language, you will see the Seshu step up and, you know, chime in on discussions, or if we find, you know, different information, whatnot, we will make sure that people are alerted to the facts about whatever the case is. All right. So we have a YouTube channel as well, Seshu Ma'ani Medu Neter. Subscribe to it. We have a weekly show, Freestyle Fridays, where we show people the process of how to transliterate and translate simple text. We show people this every week. All right. And then also occasionally we will do what's called Divine Words Wednesdays, where we'll go in on a particular subject and give actual specific brief workshop or lecture on a particular topic. So look out for that. The Masi Warrior Clan YouTube channel, and also the Amara Squad TV. And let's see what else. Am I missing anything else out in terms of YouTube? But yeah, recently Real Black Atheist channel was taken down. So, and we may do a hangout later on, so, you know, keep your eyes and ears open. We may bring up this topic again later on tonight on the YouTube channel. But it won't just be me. It'll be me and the other members of the Amara Squad. All right. Don't forget the Voices of Fire. That's the sister Naya as well. All right. So just trying to keep up with the comments. Oh wow, hold up, let me it says, I already love the way that you speak, so easy to, all right, appreciate it, sister Althea. Dua for that. Will you take some questions? Yeah, I'm trying to see if any questions are in here. I've been out of the loop. Oh, you've been out of, oh, Brother Donald. Yeah, listen. Hey man, no sweat. Just pop on in. You know, we don't skip a beat. We don't skip a beat. You know? Oh, Kundalini? What about Kundalini? Yeah, Jehudi Ma, that's true. The Amara Squad is one of the biggest threats to the metaphysical pseudo community. That's right. And you know, listen, if this post offends you, just pause for a second. If my post saying that Madame Blavatsky is the master teacher of the conscious community, don't take offense. Initially, if it offends you, okay, but pause for a second and just think about it. Because my point is that you may not know, or you may not even be a person that my post, you know, is speaking of at all. So I wouldn't want people to get their panties in a bunch where the post doesn't, you know, it has nothing to do with you. All right. You may be totally clear of any influence from the Theosophical Society Madame Blavatsky and all the other people that I mentioned. You may be clear of that. You may be a person who directly connects right with a culture in Africa. You may be an Ifa practitioner who deals directly with the Yoruba people over there in Nigeria. You may be a person that deals with the Bakongo and speak Kikongo and all that stuff and deal directly with those people. You may be a person who deal with these other traditions directly. So obviously, my post is not, directed to you. It's really not directed to any particular person. I'm just in general that a lot of what we see in the conscious community is coming out of these this movement, and we got to be careful because if you're not aware of something, then you can be manipulated. Believe that, and you gotta understand that the Germans and the Russians back in the day, they did a lot of studies in psychology. They did a lot of actual physiological experimentations on the mind and mind control and hypnosis and things like that. This is well documented. This is during World War I, World War II. I'm sure I'm not the only one that knows this. All right. There's a lot of documentation out there about different groups of people doing heavy studies on this kind of stuff. And just notice that there has been a thrust in the late 1800s that comes from the East, whether it be in Europe or Pakistan, India. You'll notice that a lot of people, a lot of things came over into the United States during this time. And in the late 1800s to early 1900s, look what happened. Look at the organizations that sprung up. You have the UNIA with Marcus Garvey. You have the Nation of Islam. You have the Moorish Science Temple of America. I'll just stop there. Those are the early 1900 type of organizations that come out. And you got to look at what's been going on. What climate did they come out and spring out of? We have to pay attention to that. All right. We have to pay attention to that. And got to know what's going on. Know where these different influences from Turkey. You got a whole Turkish movement that came over here. You have the whole Pakistani, Indian type of movement. This Buddhist type movement came over here. The whole mysticism, the so-called Egyptian mystery system. Ancient Egyptians never called their systems the Egyptian mystery system. Where we get that from? And why people say the Egyptian mystery system? And they want to say exoteric versus esoteric and stuff like that. No, we have initiation institutions. Things weren't secret. You just simply get initiated to learn. It's like school. Like I can't sit here and I can't sit on the boulevard and stare at a college and expect me to learn everything that the college teaches. No, I have to enroll in the college. I have to register to college. I have to register and be a student of the college so that I can attend the classes to learn what they have to give, what they are teaching. I can't sit on the outside and just stare at the walls and expect to learn everything. So, what people are calling this mystery system and all this and that, it's not what people think. All right. So we have to keep all that stuff in mind. All right. And we need to create and rebuild institutions. All right, these educational institutions. And remember, anybody that discourage you to read, discourage you to go to libraries, or attacks people who encourage you to read, encourage you to go to libraries, or encourage you not to deal with science, to always say that the science is the white man's science, or reading books is the white man is. Anybody that pulls that race card and stuff like that, listen, that is a detrimental line of thinking for the progress of our people. All right, just know that. All right, and you'll see it. You can observe that. And there's a certain class of people that say that. It's mostly the people who deal with pseudoscience that have a problem with those of us who deal with science. And listen, a matter of fact, I'm going to create a list of common phrases and things that people say. You know how they had these videos at one time. I don't know if they still do it, but have y'all ever seen the videos where they'll say things that vegetarians say, or they'll say things that vegans say. And then, you know, it's funny. It's like vegetarians will say this, and then they'll have a whole video vine. They call them vines, like memes, but they're video memes. And they'll say things vegetarians say, things vegans will say, or things that so-and-so will say. Well, we need a vine for things that pseudoscientists say and whatnot. We need to create that. You know what I mean? For real, because you'll see it all the time. You'll see it all the time. You know? So anyway, I've been on here long enough. I've been on here for 1 hour and 16 minutes. So I couldn't just look at the Shinu of Hatshepsut and know how to read her name in the Shinu, in the Medu Neter. Right. No. You got to learn the language. Silent shot fired. Yeah, you know, and me, I don't try to imply, you know, I name names. I'll mention names and things like that. So just to be clear, because I don't like to do the innuendo thing. You know, I don't do the back and forth thing, or the immature name calling and whatnot, you know, and all this and that. If somebody says something, hey, I quote it, or I say it, I could play it. In my example earlier, I gave the example of Sara Sutan Seti. Mention his name, Sara Sutan Seti, which is weird because he said the Medu Neter hasn't been deciphered, but he has an Egyptian title. That's kind of, you know, weird right there. But still, I don't call him out of the name that, you know, he would like to be called. Like I said, he dogs out Madame Blavatsky, but yet he utilizes her line of thinking, and he's not the only one. Matter of fact, he got that out of Stolen Legacy. George G.M. James, you know, ancestors, you know, may he rest in peace. George G.M. James made heavy use of New Age theosophical literature in his book Stolen Legacy, when in certain sections where he's explaining different things, he's quoting from these people, and so in Stolen Legacy he makes reference to the Egyptian mystery system. Look at the entire section in his book on the Egyptian mystery system, and look at the references he gives. Now, George G.M. James, he gives the references. You know, after the paragraph, he'll give you the references. Go look at them. Read the references. You'll see people like Charles Vail, who's the author of I'm probably mixing it up, but a lot of these people are into the Rosicrucian order, the Order of the Golden Dawn, or the Masonic order, the Freemasonry order, Order of Freemasons, and things like that. Various different groups, and they take their cue from Madame Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society. You can see it clear as day, and so we got to be mindful of that. Don't just take, you know, we can't just do name dropping. You know, people quote and say, George G.M. James, you know, I'm getting my stuff from George G.M. James. This is what Sara Sutan said he did. He quotes something and then expect just to name drop somebody, say George G.M. James said this, as though we're going to be like, oh, okay, since he said it, oh, I'm good now. Oh, for real? That's what's up, Seti. Hoorah, hoorah, hoorah. No. Real scientists, real scholars, real researchers will say, okay, George G.M. James said that, but where did he say it, and how did he come to that conclusion? What did he use? And sure enough, in his literature, in his book Stolen Legacy, he has the references. We go look them up. We find, lo and behold, goes back to Madame Blavatsky, goes back to Theosophical Society, goes back to Rosicrucian, Order of the Golden Dawn, and some other groups I'm forgetting to mention. Sure enough, and I wish I had it ready to show y'all. I was sure, because I like to back up what I say in real time, because I don't want to leave it lingering. Because hold on, let me see if I can pull this up real fast. Really, really fast. Let me see if I could do this real fast, and if not, then I'm gonna call it a day with y'all. Probably go on later on. But matter of fact, let me switch. So y'all give me a minute. I'm gonna try to find it real quick. Let's see, Stolen Legacy. If y'all have it, somebody else have it, y'all can pull it up too. I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about. Because I don't want you to ever accuse me of, well, Jao was just talking. He's not demonstrating. He's not demonstrating anything. All right, so let's see. Let's pull it up. Give me a second. Yep, name dropping. Yep, people name drop. All right, let's see. Egyptian mysteries. Part 2. I'm gonna find it. Give me a second. Hot second. 2 seconds. Okay, so here we go. And let me share. I'm gonna share it. Share my screen. I'm generous. I will share. Give me a second. So I'm trying to I don't like that dead silence. So give me a second here. Okay. All right, y'all gonna see it in one hot second. All right. There we go. All right, so y'all should be able to see it. But I think I'm gonna have to blow it up. Yeah, that might be small on you all screen. So I can make this bigger. All right, hopefully you'll be able to see it. But listen, if you can't, then if you have the book, get the book out, whip the book out. So let me go. Let's go to this section where the section starts. Now, this is the section 2. Number 2, you see here, the title is The Education of the Egyptian Priests in A, the 7 liberal arts, B, the secret systems of language and mathematical symbolisms, and C, magic. So we're dealing with A. Well, A is here, the education of Egyptian priests in 7 liberal arts. And then B, the education of Egyptian priests consisted also in the specialization in secret systems of language and mathematical symbolisms. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to skip on down here. It says this is subsection 2, Roman, small Roman 2. It says, we are also informed that the mystery system of Egypt employed modes of spoken language which could be understood only by the initiated. These consisted not only of myths and parables, but also of a secret language called Senzar. There you go. There's this quote. This is in George G.M. James' book, Stolen Legacy. This is the PDF version, so I'm not sure if the page numbers will match up, but this is page 97 in this particular copy. So I don't know if you have a physical copy, it would be the same page number, but go there and you'll see. Now, what I meant by references is that George G.M. James gives references. It says this reference, Ancient Mysteries by Charles H. Vail, page 23. And what you do is you go get that book, look it up, look on page 23. That way you can see the whole context of where this is coming from, and you'll see that all this stuff is coming from Madame Blavatsky. And so on and so forth. Now, if we in the conscious community, because George G.M. James is for us and by us, and we revere him, that's all good. But if we take that on face value and just read it and just accept it and say, okay, the Egyptian mystery system and the language, it's a secret language called Senzar, and we accept it and pass it on, we'll do our upcoming generations a disservice. So this is the rigor that we have to apply to this information. So we have to look this up, and we have to understand that we can't just name drop and just call off people's name. That's a logical fallacy called appeal to authority. Just because somebody said it doesn't make it true. I don't care what awards or medals that you, gold medals that you may have, or what kind of scholarship or degrees you may have. Degreed people make mistakes. We all can make mistakes, you know, so we can't just haphazardly just toss people's names around and so on and so forth. Either way, you know, so give much respect to our elders, and these are the people who showed us that we stand on. But listen, they raised the bar, but we got to take it further. This includes everyone from all those who have passed. We got Dr. Jacob Carruthers, we got Asa Hillard, we have George G.M. James, Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben now, Sheikh Anta, all of these people that we revere and see their great works. We have to take those works and we have to move forward. We can't look at them as even being infallible. Matter of fact, a lot of them, to their credit, in their literature, they will tell you this, what I'm saying. They say, look, take what I've done, take it further, triple check, double check, put in the work. As new information is revealed, new instrumentation, new technology that allows us to explore, you know, smaller things, particles, grander things out there in the universe, whatever, always keep it up to date. That's what we have to do. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this and back up what I was saying as far as this is concerned about this language, Senzar. And then if you even read further, let's read the next one. It says, we also understand that the Egyptians attached numerical values both to letters of words and to geometrical figures, with the same intention as with their use of hieroglyphics, that is, to conceal their teachings. So George G.M. James is here saying that the hieroglyphs was used to conceal their teachings. Now, this is not coming from George G.M. James himself, like his own findings. He's quoting something, but obviously he's passing it on as if being in agreement with it. All right. And this is where it can get real tricky. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you go down here, it gives you the sources. Ancient Mysteries by Charles Avail, the page numbers. Clement of Alexandria, in his book, the book called Stromata, book 5, section 7 and 9. You see, we gotta look up these things. And when you look up these things, you'll find, man, this stuff is just not true. The hieroglyphs was not concealed to conceal any teachings. Why would you put a decree in hieroglyphic if it's made to conceal stuff? Why would you show it on the outside of walls and on various different stelae and various papyri and ostrakhan and all this other stuff that people see every day, all day? Why would you make a boundary stela? Mind you, a boundary stela. Now remember, you know, in ancient Kemet and in Africa, they didn't have borders. They didn't have, you know, like even in the United States, we got like the state of Georgia, the state of Florida, and state of Alabama. The borders that we call these things, they're imaginary. In Africa, a lot of African communities, they had borders, but they were natural borders. So ancient Kemet used the desert, they used the Mediterranean Sea, and they used the cataracts of the Nile as natural borders. But occasionally they had to declare the borders where their territory ended and began. So you have what's called border stela erected to let people know that when you come upon this stela, this is the borders of our territory. So proceed with caution. And so I'm bringing that up because why would the Egyptians write a message in hieroglyphs to warn people that are outside of Egypt not to come into Egypt, because this is the borders of Egypt, if the hieroglyphs was a secret and concealing type of language or script? That's dumb. All right. So, I mean, I could give countless examples of how crazy that is. But my point here, though, is that we have to put in the rigor into our studies and things. Look up the sources of things, just like Wikipedia. People complain about Wikipedia. I'm like, hey, go to the resource section. Same thing. Treat it the same way. You read this book, go to the reference section. Go to the citations. Read it. You know, read it to get the full scope of the context. But anyway, so I'm I'm rambling on now. But I just wanted to show that if you look up this book, Charles Vail, you'll find out that he's a Freemason. You'll find out that he wrote a series of books, not a whole bunch, but a few books dealing with these ancient mysteries, and they're all standing on the philosophies that are found in the Theosophical Society, going back to Madame Blavatsky and all of her contemporaries. You know, these are people who went that route, and it doesn't start with her. It comes out of a long lineage, a long line of that thought. And people want to talk about Medu Neter hasn't been deciphered and stuff like that. They want to bring up Champollion and Thomas Young and stuff like that. But they forget the other side of things, and how and why the scientific discipline of Egyptology started in the first place. Why did it start? Who started it? Why did it start? And what was the climate at the time it got started? Because there was two things that came up out of that. One line was Egyptology, and the other line was the New Age pseudo nonsense. And a lot of our people are following the pseudo line and not the scientific line. And people who follow the pseudo line is trying to discourage people from following the scientific line. But anyway, all right, so I'm gonna wrap it up now. You said Shaka Ahmos did a presentation on the Stone Lexi. Yeah, he did. He did a good job on that presentation. On that. And matter of fact, see, all the information that Shaka Ahmos presented was, you know, it was in the our presentation with the Amara Squad. But Shaka Ahmos has a bone to pick with Sarasut Seti. So, you know, my hats off to Shaka Ahmos. He did a great job. But that's between him and Sarasut Seti going at it. You know, like I said, me personally, you know, it's bigger than these people. It's bigger than Sarasut Seti. Like, you know, I don't have anything against Sarasut Seti personally. I don't know his personal life or whatever the case is. It's a mentality that we have to attack, or that we have to deal with, not people. So, you know, you're not going to see me do a presentation where, you know, a lot of my presentation will be spent on talking about a particular person. I'm attacking the mentality or the claims that are made, and use it as a teaching moment. So, you know, I don't, you know, so, but that's what a lot of people like to see and stuff like that. But in terms of that particular presentation, Shaka Ahmos did a very good job at it. And, you know, like I said, he included all that stuff, SETI, you know, Young Pharaoh, all that stuff. You know, that's what people want to see, and that's good. See, with us, matter of fact, hold on, let me do this before I go. Gotta do this before I go. Before Shaka Ahmos' presentation, and before the actual date of the debate that they backed out, that he chickened out on, and backed out because of, you know, the excuse of whatever money issues that they had going on, or whatever the case is, we wrote this. Okay, this book right here is called Has the Egyptian Hieroglyphic Writing System Been Deciphered? A Rebuttal to Walter Williams. This was published on December 14th. And it's available on Amazon. You can get this book. This book refutes all of Sarasut Seti and Young Pharaoh's claims. Why? Because it refutes and rebuttals Dr. Walter Williams' claims in his book about the language, from which they share the same claims. All right. So instead of us addressing Sarasut Seti and Young Pharaoh, who have no clue about ancient Egyptian, whatever the case is, and they have no literature, no books on their own, we chose to deal directly with the professional, Dr. Walter Williams, and we have high respect for Walter Williams. And so we respectfully wrote this book. It's about 200 pages, and it's written in two parts. Part one is giving some necessary foundation information on how the ancient hieroglyphic writing system works. It breaks down how the system works, because a lot of people just don't know how the system works. So we had to build people up, the information up, so that people could understand. Then part two is the actual rebuttal. So, for example, we walk through Walter Williams' appendix, point for point, rebuttal by rebuttal. All right, so we give his point, we quote him verbatim, then we go point for point and rebuttal everything that he says. So that's in part 2. Part 1 is giving a very good foundation of what's what, defining terms. Like, for example, what, I don't know if y'all can see that. What is transliteration? What are the actual hieroglyphs themselves? What are the glyphs? You know, the glyphs in and of themselves are pictorial pictographs, but now they can function in different ways, and that's what people don't understand. They can function in one of 3 different ways, but they themselves are pictographs. Just like me, I'm a male human being, but yet I can function in the capacity of a father. I have 3 daughters. I can function in the capacity of a graphic artist. I can function in the capacity of whatever. So I can have multiple functions, but what I am, people will say, okay, you know, you're a human being, you're a male human being, or whatever the case is. So these glyphs themselves are pictographs, but they can function in different ways. So when people like Sarasu Seti and Young Pharaoh made the comments of, well, how are you going to reduce these 400 glyphs, and they don't even know it's way more than that, 400 to 700 glyphs into an alphabet of 26 characters and things like that. See, that right there alerts anybody who remotely deals with the language. It just discounts them. They're just totally out of their lane. They don't understand, you know. So they don't understand that some of the glyphs represented single consonants that we would call an alphabet. A lot of the glyphs dealt with 2 consonants we would call biliterals, and then other glyphs dealt with 3 consonants and some even more. So you have multi-consonantal glyphs that stand for multi-consonants, you know, more than 1 consonant. Like the word unk, that one symbol, unk, those are 3 consonants. 3 consonants. All right, just to give you an example. The symbol for the word hotep, the HTP, the 3 consonants, the H, the T, and the P. That's a single glyph that represents 3 consonants. English, we don't have that. So people who don't expand their knowledge and want to put it in the study, they will never ever be able to understand that and grasp that. So they will ask those, well, I can't even say they asked the question. They will make the silly claims without trying to sit in class. I personally offered Young Pharaoh to teach him free. I don't know if y'all saw that. Y'all remember that old hangout we had when it was myself, Asari Motep, Brother Sanjeti, Dr. Ma'ad at the time, Uncle Kek, and Young Pharaoh and Sarasu Seti was on there briefly, and Sarnetta. And I offered him, and Brother Reggie, I believe, extended an invitation, said, look, I will teach you for free, just so we can cut this silliness out. He declined, you know. So, hey, I do my part and try my best to educate people. I don't have time for the circus and the nonsense, the back and forth stuff. I just hit it and quit it. So again, you know, pick this book up. It's available on Amazon and the website metanetra.com, mdw-ntr.com. Amazon, like I said, that book and this book, if you want to learn, Beginner's Introduction to Metanetra, the Ancient Egyptian Hieroglyphic Writing System. All right, this book is has more pages. This is used as a textbook. This is walk you step by step, and it has classes. I have classes. You can register for classes. Contact me, inbox me, and I'll give you more information. Go directly to the website. Everything is there. You can register on the website. All right, so there's no excuses about that whatsoever. So anybody talks about the Metanetra hasn't been deciphered and stuff like that, this is all you need. There's no need to do, you know, long-winded back and forth things. Just get the book. It's not that, it's 200 pages, so it's not that thick of a read, and this is it. All right, some valuable information here. But with that, I'm about to yeah, Brother Sanjeti offered too. All right, so just check the comments real quick. Well, Joe, a lot of folks still don't know what deciphering is. Exactly. See, the definition of decipherment, let me see. It's in this book. See, look, part one, what you need to know. So we break it down real simple for people. Really, really simple. First question in the book. This is the first question. Let me see. Where's the book? The first question in the book. What is decipherment? And we break it down. Next question in the book. And I'm looking at the opposite. What is language? And we break it down. Next question in the book. Third question in the book. What is a writing system? And we break it down, because people don't know what a writing system is. They don't know the difference between a writing system or what it is. You know, so we break it down. What else? Let me see. What else? And then we get into some technical things. Then the types of writing systems. There are different types of writing systems. You have alphabetic writing systems. You have logographic writing systems, and then everything in between. All right. What else? Just trying to flip through it real quick. Another question. What are the hieroglyphs? So we break it down. What are the hieroglyphs? What are they? And then how they can function. You know, so anyway, just wanted to show you that. And then, like I said, the book is in two parts. So part 2, the rebuttal. So this book is very, very, very easy to follow. I really highly recommend it, not just because, you know, I took part in writing it, but we wrote it for a reason. And it's for that reason that I definitely recommend it. You know, whether I wrote it or not, I would still be recommending this book to people. So get it. Tell people to get it. Anybody who's interested in wanting to know how the hieroglyphic writing system works and on the question of decipherment itself, get the book. All right. It's only $24 on Amazon. All right. Get it. Read it. And then you'll understand. And it's going to really, it actually really, you'll start to appreciate, you'll appreciate language. A lot of things we take for granted, you'll appreciate it more, because writing is not easy. To invent a writing system, once you find out what a writing system is, trust me, you'll have much more appreciation for the Africans that invented writing, or several writing systems all into one. You have the Sesh Medu Necher, which is the indigenous term for the hieroglyphic writing system. Remember that. We don't say hieroglyphs. We say Sesh Medu Necher. Sesh meaning to write. Medu Necher meaning divine words. So this is the inscriptions of divine words. They used the flora and fauna that was in their area, in the environment, in the Nile Valley corridor. They used those as the inspiration for the symbols and signs that they used to encode what they were speaking. So remember, a writing system is the visual representation of speech. So there is a marriage between what is spoken and what you see. And this encoding has to be consistent enough to where people can learn it. It can't be haphazard. It has to have a system to it. And that's why we say a writing system and not just simply pictures. You will never go to an art gallery expecting to read paintings. You don't read paintings. You look at paintings and admire the paintings. You admire the artwork, but you don't go to a gallery to read paintings. Paintings cannot be read. And that's why people say a picture is worth what? 1,000 words. Why look into that famous quote. Look into why people say a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's a true statement. And the reason why they say that is because if you look at a picture, you can interpret it in multiple ways. That is not an effective way of communicating. If I wrote a picture and there's multiple ways to interpret it, then what I intended to mean or to convey to you will be wide open and vague. That's not an effective way of communicating. So the ancient Africans knew that, and they encoded specific speech to those pictures, not just any haphazard interpretation of anything. That's the difference of what a writing system is and what it's not. That's what separates a writing system from just pictorial graphical art or cave art or petroglyphs and things like that. That's what makes it different. It has to be a systematic encoding of what they're speaking in comparison to what you're looking at in the writing. All right. So I see that my I don't know if okay, I guess I'm still live. But anyway, let me shut this down. Man, I've been on too long. So listen, I want to say peace, Hotep. You know, I appreciate y'all coming. Listen to what I had to say. I know I rambled on, as I usually do. I'm known as MC Iron Lung. So MC Iron Lung definitely showed up today and is in the building. But message me if you're interested on the about the language, taking the class and everything like that. And more information about the group, the Seshu Mani Metanetra group. You're going to hear more about us because, you know, we are going to expand the different things we're doing. We have projects that are underway. We're doing some translations, some from scratch translations. In other words, we are taking primary sources, some of the primary sources. What we're doing is walking through the primary sources, and we are doing translations of them from scratch. Meaning that we're not relying on the early Egyptological interpretations of different things. We're looking at it from doing our best to look at it from an Afro-centric or an African perspective, and doing comparative work with the African view and things like that. So a lot of people say, all right, you know, well, who's putting in the work? You know, you all rely on these dictionaries that are written by Europeans and things like that. No. The Seshu Mani Metanetra, we don't have to rely on the European dictionaries. We can rely on the scientific method of historical comparative linguistics and compare these words with living African languages that are related. And the technical term for that are different cognates within languages. All right. We could do a systematic comparison, and we can see that the word, for example, the word Kim is transliterated as KM. And it's the word that is responsible for the word Kemet. Okay, the word Kemet, Kim meaning black as an adjective, the color black. We can take that word Kim, look it up a dictionary, and okay, and then somebody can say, well, nah, that's what the European says. Well, okay, fine. The European says that, but now we can double check with African languages that are related to it, genetically related to it. And we can see that the same sound meaning correspondences in other African languages match up to the semantic meaning of that particular word, Kim, meaning black. That's how you do it. And that's a very meticulous and time consuming process. So we have a lot of projects that are underway that the fruits of those projects won't be seen until much later. But in the meantime, we got some things coming up, and we're going to be doing more things. So you all look out for that. And we're also going to get busy and be more aggressively addressing this pseudo information that people are bringing up about Kemet. Like, for example, let me give you another example before I leave. The brother Zion Lex. Like I said, I don't like to do the innuendos. I will call names. The brother Zion Lion Lex. In his dialogue, and I say these names with no disrespect whatsoever, because I don't even know the brother. So much respect to the brother Zion Lex. But the brother Zion Lex, he had there was a video between him and the brother Garfield on Sarnetta's channel, and one of the things that he said was incorrect. He said something, and I'm paraphrasing. Y'all can go back to the video, and I'm paraphrasing kind of heavily. But the gist, he said that the ancient Egyptians, well, this was the point he was making. He said that people understand that Ethiopia is the like the parents of the Egyptians. All right, that was one of the points he made. Like I said, I'm paraphrasing. And in that line of thinking, he was saying that the Egyptians pretty much disrespected the Ethiopians, their parents, by calling them Nubians. He said that the Egyptians called the Ethiopians by an exploitation word, a word that kind of, you know, denotes exploitation. You know, why would they call them gold? Because the word noob means gold. So they said, why would they call them gold? That's because, you know, they extracted gold and whatever the case is. That was his line of thinking. All right. And he made an error because the Egyptians didn't call the Ethiopians Nubians. All right. Nubian, and our usage of it today, comes directly out of European Egyptologists. And what they did was they simply swapped the word Negro, and they took that down and replaced it with the word Nubian. That's all they did. And so where it comes from is the fact that in early Egyptological literature, Europeans, in their political justification of slavery, they had to do their best to disconnect the wonders of ancient Egypt with black Africa, with black people, period. And I'm using black in quotations, black people. So what they were pushing was they were trying to say that the ancient Egyptian civilization was the result of Asians or Europeans, Caucasians or Asians, coming in and developing the Egyptian civilization. And so they pushed all the quote unquote black people south. They said that the black people were south. They're called Negroes or Ethiopians. Because remember, back in the day in Greece, they called everybody Ethiopian. They had two terms. They had Egyptos and they had Ethiops. Egyptos and Ethiops. The Greeks had those two major terms when identifying with the Nile Valley and Sub-Sahara and all that kind of stuff. So y'all remember that. And I know y'all should be familiar with that. All right. So so what early Egyptologists did was once the jig was up and they had to acknowledge, blacks in ancient Kemet and so on and so forth, all they did was they exchanged the word Negro. They delegated Negroes south of Kemet, and then people in Kemet were supposedly from West Asia or even the Caucasus, Caucasians. Later on, they could no longer sustain or uphold that belief and stuff in the literature. So they just simply exchanged the word Negro for the word Nubian. All right. But they did not call them Nubians. Now, where they get that from, the word Nubian is, there was two major cities in Kemet that was known as the cities of gold. It was called Nubt or Nubit. And these are two major cities that today you can look up right now. You can go on Wikipedia and look these two cities up. One is called Ombos, O-M. Matter of fact, I'm going to do y'all a service. Let me pull it up. Pull it up right now. Might as well. Since I'm already on Wikipedia. All right, so let's look this up. Like I said, I do my best to try to demonstrate what I'm saying in real time if I can. So here we have Ombos. I want y'all to look up the word O-M-B-O-S. That's what it's called, famously called now, and it has an Arabic name as well, because over there in Egypt right now, it's the language is Arabic, so a lot of the cities have Arabic names. But you can find this in Wikipedia under the name Ombos, O-M-B-O-S. All right. This was known also archaeologically with people who deal with archaeology and things like that. They know this place to be Nakada. And whenever you hear Nakada 1, Nakada 2, Nakada 3 and stuff like that, they're talking about this general area, not specifically Ombos, but the general area, okay, of Nakada and the finds that came out of that area. So the Nakada pottery and things like that. Well, this place is called Ombos. And in ancient times, it was called Nupt. And you see it here. It says it was known in ancient Egypt as Nupt or Nebut, as some people may pronounce it. All right. So I just wanted to show you that. And it says its names derive from the ancient Egyptian word Nebu, meaning gold, on the account of its proximity of gold mines in the eastern desert. Okay. I'm showing you this because this is one of the major cities that was known as Gold Town, or the city of gold in ancient times. Now, mind you, this is in ancient Egypt. This is not south of Egypt, north of Egypt, or anything. This is in Egypt. Okay. So if anything, the Egyptians themselves would be called Nubians if we wanted to play that game. All right. So I wanted to show you that. But now let's look at the map. Let's look at this map. Here it is, Nakada. Now, this yellow area is today's borders of Egypt. Ancient Egypt was bigger than this. It extended a little further south at times. So even in today's borders of Egypt, modern Egypt, Nakada is well within the country of Egypt. Okay, so that's a point. So I'm gonna quickly, let's move on. Another, I said 2, so that's 1. Here's the second city. I want y'all to look up Kom-Ombo. K-O-M-O-M-B-O. Kom-Ombo. All right, I'm gonna hit it. And here we are. We're at this other major city of gold, Kom-Ombo. Now let's read what it says. It says Kom-Ombo, the Arabic name is such and such, the Coptic name is such and such, and let's keep going. Now it says it is an agricultural town in Egypt, famous for its temple of Kom-Ombo. It was originally an Egyptian city called what? Nubt, meaning what? City of gold. And they tell you in parentheses, don't confuse this with the northern city of Nakada that we just looked at. So you see where Kom-Ombo is on the map? Right here in yellow. Let me see if I can make it bigger. There you go. Well, the dot is no longer there. So I guess that doesn't do me any good. But if you can see that, the dot here says Kom-Ombo. Again, this is well within the borders of Egypt today, and it will be inside the borders of ancient Egypt. So these two major cities of Nubia, if we want to be, if we wanted to upgrade the term, instead of saying Nubit or Nubt as the ancient way of saying it, we say Nubia. The Ia would be, you know, equivalent of a toponym for a place name. Then these two cities are in Egypt. It has nothing to do with Kush or Kash or Ethiopia. You understand? So I hope y'all following what I'm saying. So I'm just giving you an example that the brother Zion Lex claimed that the Egyptians called the ancient, or called the ancient Egyptians called the Ethiopians Nubians. They never did such a thing. Okay, the people that were south of Kemet, that people try to call Nubians, they never called them Nubians. So we got to stop that. Now I know that we use that today, and a lot of people use it, but we got to correct that. We got to correct that. All right. They were referred to as Ta-Nehisi, and they had specific names for different communities of people south of Kemet. All right. And maybe we'll do it. I'm going to do a separate, I'll do a separate hangout or presentation with the other members of the Amara Squad. We'll go in on it to show you all the different names that the Egyptians did call the people that were south of Kemet. There were nine major communities that the Egyptians recognized or identified south of Kemet, and they were your original 9 bows. When we say the 9 bows, and the 9 bows were being enemies of Kemet and so on and so forth, there were 9 communities south of Kemet that were known as the 9 bows. All right, and the 9 bows would switch. So the word 9 bows, or the term 9 bows, or the Pasejet, which is what the term means, 9, the number 9, it became synonymous with enemies. So later on, as time went on, that term and terminology became synonymous with enemies. But at one point, it was simply to identify the 9 major communities that were south of Kemet. And these 9 communities had names. All right. None of which were Nubians. All right. So we have to keep that in mind. All right. So I want y'all to understand that. And these come out of a general term of Nehisi. When you hear the word Ta-Nehisi, that means the land of Nehisi. And for whatever the term Nehisi itself means to the people of Nehisi. So you have different terms. You have the people of Yam. So you see the word Yam Nehisi. You see the term Wawet Nehisi. You see the term what's another one? Iret Nehisi. So you see these different terms for these communities, none of which were called Nubians. So if we wanted to play the game and be technical, the Egyptians themselves, who called themselves the Remech, they themselves would be the Nubians as well, because the cities of gold was within the borders of Nubia. I mean, excuse me, Nubia would be in the borders of Egypt as far as city of gold. Now there was gold down there as well, But my point is that they didn't call them that. So anyway, I don't want to be long-winded with that. I just want to show you an example of what we do as the Seshu. You know, we just want to edify people correct and offer correct information if it's wrong, or just be part of the conversation to expand the conversation whenever people share good information and worthwhile information. We just try to chime in and be all involved, because this is what we focus on. We focus on the language of ancient Kemet. And the reason why we do that is because the culture itself is solidified or recorded in language. Language is the DNA of culture. Y'all have to remember that. Language is the DNA of culture. If you want to get to know the culture of a people, you have to do so by way of its language. There's no way around it. If you don't do that, you'll be handicapped. Period. There's nothing more that you can say about that. The only way that you'll become intimately acquainted with a culture is to understand and learn its language. And I'm going to say that again. The only way that you could become intimately acquainted with a culture is to do so by way of its language, because language is the DNA of culture. All right. Language is the DNA of culture, especially when we're dealing with ancient cultures, even more specifically. All right. Remember that. Everything else, you're handicapped, and that's where the speculation comes in. That's where the pseudoism comes into play. That's when you get people that will say anything out their mouth. People will talk about Khnum manufacturing human beings on the wall as if that's a literal story, that like a literal human being with a ram's head sat at a literal potter's wheel and created literal people from clay. That's silly. The only way you're going to know that metaphoric or figurative way of expressing that, what it really means, what the realities really are behind that, is to understand the culture. And the only way you can understand the culture is by going through its language. So we focus on the language. So we represent the doorway to the Egyptian culture, the ancient Egyptian culture, that we call, you know, the language itself is called Ra Ni Kemet. All right. We don't say Egyptian language, we say Ra Ni Kemet. So I hope you all pick up on that and remember that. Ra Ni Kemet. If you hear that spelled out or hear us say it, that's what we mean. The ancient Egyptian language was indigenously called Ra Ni Kemet. And Ra Ni Kemet is 3 words into one. Ra meaning mouth, Ni meaning of, and Kemet being the political state, the kingdom. So it literally means the mouth of Kemet, but that's an idiom for language, because language comes out of the mouth. So that which comes out of the mouth is your language. So Ra Ni Kemet is the language of Kemet. That's what the Egyptians called it themselves, and Egyptians called themselves the Rimage. All right. So, and another thing that the brother Zion Lex need to understand and do some research on is how Africans create place names. They're called toponyms. Look into how Africans create toponyms. All right, so those are my pointers out. Shout out to that brother, Zion Lex. So, you know, just wanted to kind of touch on that. But with that, you know, I am definitely going to get up off this thing, because if I don't, I'll never leave. And as y'all can see, you know, outside it's dark. It was light outside. Now it's dark, you know. So, all right, so I'm gonna say peace, and you know, I'll see you all later on. Maybe later on we'll do a hangout on Amara Squad TV. So please subscribe to that with the other members of the Amara Squad as well. But other than that, you know, hopefully y'all having a good day. People who are off of work, whatever the case is, enjoy your week. And I'll see you on Facebook. And I'll say Shemim Hotep, as we always say.